Welcome back. We have a great topic for you today. It's how to earn your first or your next, or maybe your next after your next $1 million in real estate. This is going to focus obviously on sales, but it's also going to focus on building your net worth.
All right, and this will be a two-part podcast series. So today we're starting with part one of how to make $1 million in real estate. Now, if you're accustomed to doing that, just change your title to how to make your next $1 million easier, faster, and more efficiently. Part one, $1 million gross commission income. You might want to take some notes here, and Tim will tell you in a second how to get our notes. But $1 million gross commission income equals, we're going to do several versions of this, 100 transactions at $10,000 average commission based on the national average of about $400,000 sale price. Now, if your average sale price is $750,000, you'll need 55 transactions. And if your average sale price is $1 million or more, you'll need about 40 transactions. Now, obviously, it's a good idea to consider A, getting control of your average sale price by being more proactive and pursuing perhaps a higher average sale price, and B, making sure that your costs aren't out of control. Too high brokerage fees, buying leads, being overstaffed, and paying for stuff that's speculative.
You know, it's funny. I'll share with you guys this and start observing this because it is entertaining. When you're hearing agents who have a high sale price talk about their previous success, they'll always talk about the dollar volume of what they sold. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you have agents that have a lower sale price, they're going to talk about the number of units that they sold. And I'm going to share with you something that Julie and I coach all of our agents to do. Don't focus on the dollar volume, focus on the units, because you can get seduced easily by a big number. And if you're not focused on the units, you're not ever going to really build much of a business. And, you know, say, for example, your average sale price is $1.5 million or $2 million. We have a coaching client's average sale price now is over $4 million. You know, Rob Johnson in Connecticut. And so Rob can say, well, I sold $40 million of real estate last year. 99% of the agents on planet Earth are going to go, holy tamale. Well, guess what? It was 10 houses.
Yes, that's right.
And so when you're thinking about and you're holding yourself accountable, what gives you more stress? Thinking about dollar volume or thinking about units? Think about the units, because it's going to force you to work at a higher level. It's going to force you to have, frankly, more professional skills. That's one of the reasons that when we have a coaching client who's very successful at selling, let's say even, average sale price homes, or even, less than average sale price homes, and you take that agent, a lot of agents we have right now are in the Midwest and whatever, and they're wanting to get ready to sort of go into a different phase of life, and they still want to sell real estate, but they want to sell it in Florida.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're having them do is, Florida agents, Florida luxury agents, let me tell you, your best competitors haven't even shown up yet, but they're on their way down. So if you're used to selling, who's your coaching client who I'm thinking of right now?
Gina GM Pietro.
Exactly. Okay, so if she's selling an average sale price of, what is it?
Well, she's moving from Pennsylvania to Florida. Pennsylvania's probably 350 to 4, and Florida we plan on, in our attack plan, being probably $1 million or higher.
All right. So I want you to think about that. She's used to selling, and this is a very successful
Very
agent.
successful.
And she sells how many units a year now?
100 plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
When she shows up in your marketplace, having the skill set and the mindset to sell over 100 plus, do you think that just because her average commission is going to double, if not triple, do you think she's going to all of a sudden start kicking back and not work as hard? It isn't going to happen. Her whole mindset and approach to the business is based on selling over 100 homes per year, because that's what she had to do during her entire career. And that's what we see. So if we take an agent who's used to selling lots of homes and we plop them down in a very upper end area, they quickly start to dominate.
And their habits prevail. I mean, it's interesting with Gina, because we're creating Gina Part 2, the Gina Renaissance. And she's so used to operating at that high level and handling 15 to 20 pendings at one time, handling a lot of listing inventory at once. That's baked into her. It's almost, I don't think I could even train that out of her. So what we're doing is the attack plan to do things like higher end expireds and target what we're going after.
Julie and I did that exact same thing. When we started selling real estate in our 20s, our average sale price was actually less than what the average was in the community, in the overall Central Ohio area. And we sold over 100 homes our first year, and typically did between 100 and 200 homes. But we would drive like 15 or 30 minutes in either direction from our house, and all of a sudden the sale price was 3 and 4x. And we get to know some of these agents, and we quickly realized that those agents weren't as aggressive, didn't really know how to pre-qualify, didn't really know how to present, had a lot of their business coming to them from centers of influence and past clients. And we didn't at the time, because we were in our 20s. We had only sold, at that point, we'd only been, we'd sold a lot of homes, but we weren't that confident about our ability to take that skill set and apply it to a more expensive area. Well, of course, you guys know Tim and Julie. What we did, well, that's weird talking about yourself in the third person. What we did is we, essentially moved out to this area called New Albany Country Club, where the average sale price from what we had been selling was 5 to 6x of what we've been selling. And it turned out not only did our skill set transfer and our mindset transfer, but the sellers loved us for our work ethic. The sellers loved the fact that we had game, and they would say things like that to us, like, oh, I can't call Bob now because he's out on the golf course or he's at a tournament. I remember when Julie and I, we took a lot of listings in fourth quarter of one year, and then when spring hit, we had all these expired listings in this very exclusive area. And I remember one of the listing agents came up and said, you guys weren't even on my radar. And then I'll tell you what else we did. In August, there were a whole bunch of listings that came off the market. They were temporarily off the market, or a lot of them were expired. And we then, of course, we were always focusing on trying to take more inventory. A lot of the listing agents were going to Europe. They were taking these extended vacations. They were telling their sellers it was the crappiest time to put their homes for sale or have their homes for sale because they didn't want to work. But the exact opposite was true, because during that time of year, a lot of folks that were relocating to that particular community, that were working for a Limited, Lane Bryant Express, all these corporate executive types, that's when they were starting their home search in New Albany area, in the New Albany area, and they were, for their, part of their August, call it vacation, they were touring these different communities. Yeah. So while these other listing agents were saying the market's slower and taking the homes off the market, some of the best buyers were coming to town. And we showed this to our prospective, these sellers, these expired sellers in particular. We told them and proved to them what was going on. And guess what we did? Took even more listings. So trust me when I tell you that do not be intimidated by expensive real estate. It represents some of the best opportunity, even if you're a brand new agent.
Absolutely. And I'll never forget one of our first high-end listing appointments that we went on there. The buyer and seller couple said, we were going to list with so-and-so who had been, luxury pants there forever. And they said, she just rolled in with her fur coat and her diamonds and assumed that she had our business. And that totally rubbed us the wrong way. So, you'll have interesting experiences. I like the high-end expireds because you can cherry pick your listing inventory. You can curate your average sale price.
Well, but to your point, a lot of the agents in this, listen, if you are the agent with the fur coats and the diamonds, God bless you, but do not allow yourself to be complacent.
Don't be assumptive.
Because the nature of the competition is going to radically change in all markets, but also because these now, the changes that are happening with just everything, all the things. It's going to open the door for a new breed of agents who are going to not wait to seize the opportunity that, say, for example, everyone having to have exclusive buyer agency contracts signed, higher interest rate environment, just different things, changes the economy. All of these things are going to cause a lot of people to fear, a lot of agents, frankly, to stall out. They're going to sort of just not do anything. And that's the natural human behaviors when faced with change. That's what scares the crap out of most people. And so what they do is, again, they emotionally, they unplug themselves. And they just kind of keep their heads down, don't pay attention, act like the changes aren't going to have any effect on them. And slowly but surely, they get eaten alive. And, it goes back to what we tell a lot of the teams that we're talking to and the brokers that we're talking to. It's okay to scale down. It's okay to reposition yourself on the market so that you can take advantage of what this new market's going to demand from you as a real estate practitioner. But that's a totally different conversation. Let's get back on task.
Okay, so we're talking about making your first or next $1 million a year in real estate. Point number one, as we often do, is a mindset point. Decide and accept the fact that your success is up to you and only you. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. That's what you're saying to yourself. It is not up to your broker, your market, the interest rates, or who's president. It's up to you. Be responsible for your own success and own it all. There will be more than 4 million sales this year. That's 8 million commission sides, not counting new construction for sale by owners and deals done outside of the MLS. How many will you be involved in? Again, this first point is all about your mindset. The rest of the points are irrelevant if your head isn't in the game. There's no dabbling, trying things out, or seeing how it goes when you're making $1 million a year in real estate. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Well, really, the surest way to be successful is follow in the footsteps of someone who's done it,
Yes.
In our case with our coaching clients who's done it thousands of times. Why try to recreate the wheel? Why try to be creative? You got to a message, a text from my nephew Ethan.
Yes.
And I haven't replied to him yet. But one of the things he's saying in his text, he's in marketing. He's not in real estate, and so he's trying things, looking for a niche. He's doing all this, frankly, time wasting things. And the advice I'm going to give him when I text him back is find somebody who's really successful at one particular thing and do what they're doing. Maybe even be mentored by them or work for them. Learn what other people are doing. Stop trying to create or recreate the wheel. Just follow in the footsteps of other people if your goal is ultimately to be rich. And rich is where your money works for you and you no longer have to work for your money. And that could be meaning that you have $5,000 passively coming in per month, depending on your overhead, or $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000. But really your goal should be to have your real estate practice produce as much profit as possible so that you can reinvest that and start creating passive income. And that's where we're leading to at the next point.
Yes, very well said. Number 2, invest your time before you invest your money. Before you invest your money. People invest 4 years or more in a college education only to graduate, sometimes, with student loan debt and a job that they could hate for the next decade or more. Now, you can't skip learning and be earning at the level that you desire. When you work sporadically, you'll get sporadic income. When you work consistently, you'll achieve momentum a lot faster.
And I'm gonna throw something in there too, because I had another one of these conversations last week from someone who was frankly our age, and they're starting to spend their kids' college savings because they're not making enough money and they haven't scaled down their brokerage yet, so they're burning the candle at both ends. So it's one of those sad conversations. But one of the things I asked them was, like, what are your kids, the whole college education thing, I'll give you the punchline. For a lot of people, like Julie, if we had to do it all over again, we got married when we were, Julie started giving me the answer. No. I mean, would we have gone to college?
No, and we're not as bad as it has gotten now with how much these kids end up owing.
It's crazy.
You know, when we went, we could actually earn it and pay for it a quarter by a quarter, but you can't really do that anymore.
Well, when we got out of college, we used all the profit from the first year of selling real estate to pay off our student loan debt.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, we were English majors. Julie was a music major. We should have just gotten real estate licenses like as soon as when we were 18, honestly.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, and
in retrospect.
We shouldn't have wasted time. And I think the opportunities for, and this is what I was telling this gal I was talking to, is like, you know, have you actually asked your kids if you wanted them to go to college? What are their majors going to be? What do you know?
What's the plan?
What's the plan? Right. And all this money you've set aside for them to go to college, that is, you know, she had it in 529s, which are college savings plans, which are fine. And then she had some other money scrolled away. But she hadn't saved any money for her own retirement. She had no real financial security because she felt this obligation, even though she didn't go to college, by the way, she felt this obligation to pay for her 3 kids' college educations. You know, and having this, all of us need to have conversations like that, frankly, if you have children. You know,
and give them permission to do something else. Give yourself permission to give them permission to do something else.
And for God's sake, don't have them go to school to learn something that is not going to allow the result directly in them getting a job. And make sure whatever job it is isn't going to be one of the many, many things that AI is going to make redundant within the next 24 months.
Yeah, you know what I've always thought was outrageous, even when we were getting loans, is, you know, even when you get a car, but especially when you get a house, all of our listeners know, you have to go through some pre-qualifying. You know, you have to have a decent credit score and a job and things like that. Why is it that kids can get so massively in debt from college? The people giving them that credit will say, because they have not yet ruined their credit score, we're going to give them credit. And, you know, they don't have any trailing things. They're not pre-qualifying them at all.
Well, what's the traditional way of rationalizing college? The average college graduate earns this much more than someone who doesn't graduate from college. I doubt if that's still true.
I doubt if it's true now. I think it's getting less and less true every day.
I mean, based on what we have to pay our plumbers and our electricians,
yeah.
I can pretty much promise you that they're earning more money than, say, somebody who's got a lofty college degree and something that, you know, ended up making it so they're just making middling money.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We could go on. But, okay. So remember, we were talking about invest your time before you invest your money. You've got to understand there are stages of learning. And I'm going to do this quickly because we do the drill down in coaching. The stages of learning are first formulation. That's getting ready to get started and creating your plan. Some of you have been stuck in formulation for a decade. You've got to move on to the next part, which is concentration. That's doing the actual work that your plan calls for, like your real estate treasure map. Concentration is doing the work, learning, using your skill, upgrading your skills. Then you get to momentum. That's the exciting part. Many of our coaching clients are in momentum now. Repetitious, predictable success. And then finally, breakthrough, high-level implementation without getting bored and falling back to the first stage. You can't skip this. You can't go straight from formulation to breakthrough. Try as you might. This is why we have coaching. All right.
Breakthrough is the scary one because that's when things get easy and you think you got it all figured out, and then someone moves your cheese, as the book says.
Yes.
And the next thing you know, basically all the things you have thought you had figured out were not working for you at the same level or at all anymore. So if you're in that phase right now as maybe you're a team or you're a real estate broker, and then you've been, frankly fighting against the market for the past 2 or 3 years, and you're like that gal I was talking to, you've been burning the candle at both ends. I'm going to tell you guys 2 things. Number one, you can be successful again, probably more than you've ever been successful in the past. Because of the changes in the market, but you've got to, in some cases, scale down, not your expectations, your hopes, or your dreams and your goals, but you got to scale down your expenses, and you have to change your business model. Your business model has to evolve to reflect what, frankly, the new market's willing to, how much, a lot of overhead's going to have to be cut, frankly. A lot of the decisions that you made 5 years ago or even 24 months ago aren't going to be the same decisions you'd make now faced with those decisions now. You would not make the decision to spend so much money on X if you knew, like, for example, 2 years ago when you made a commitment to do a bunch of marketing and whatever, and you're still waiting around for that marketing to turn out, you need to give yourself permission to stop the marketing and start putting that money towards maybe your own personal net worth, or just frankly, you could put it towards paying down debt. Those types of conversations are what are long past due for many agents and brokers. And where this is all coming out is people are talking with Julie and I about joining with us at EXP, because a lot of folks are looking for ways to make it so when, the real estate recovery comes, and it's going to come when interest rates fall and the inventory increases and all these things, which will happen. When that happens, a lot of agents don't ever want to be in the position again where they're going to have to worry about, frankly, having financial hardship or even the worry of it. And so the traditional paths are build a business, sell the business. That doesn't happen in real estate. Nobody really buys real estate practices. The next one's going to be buy multifamilies. That's a great way, or single family homes. But really the cap rates right now are pretty terrible, and that's not going to necessarily work because interest rates are still too high. Then after that, you have winning the lottery and Ed McMahon knocking on the door and giving you a big check, right? Well, one of the best ways to create passive income the quickest is absolutely with EXP with revenue share. That's a conversation that if you have not yet had with yourself, you seriously need to explore that. It is the 8th wonder of the world, and it's only available to those of you who have real estate licenses. So please seriously consider what you have on the table as an opportunity for you with EXP Realty. Julie and I, one of the best business decisions we ever made 5 years ago was with joining with EXP Realty. Now we have approaching 4,000 agents that are part of our group. There's a reason that so many agents are joining EXP and joining EXP with us, and you need to discover it. The link to learn more about our EXP Realty group is down below. If you're ready to land the plane and you have not yet chosen a sponsor at EXP Realty, Julie and I would both appreciate the opportunity to earn the right to be your EXP Realty sponsor. Text me directly at 512-758-0206. 512-758-0206, or you can just click the link below, watch the videos that are on the website below in the show description or over on YouTube. It's a description there as well, and learn more about our EXP Realty group. Julie, point number 3.
Yes, back to making our $1 million here. Number 3, you must have and also know how to use, most importantly, the following immediately. Failure to be great at these 4 things will handicap your success. And I think you'd agree, Tim, that it is nearly impossible to get anywhere close to $1 million GCI without these 4 things. Part A, scripts, of course, proactive lead generation scripts, open house scripts, lead follow-up scripts, basic conversations with your sphere of influence, pre-qualifying scripts, and closing scripts. They are simply questions that lead to a close. They are organized conversations which you will eventually memorize and internalize. B, pre-listing package. Not your broker's, not something you found online for free. A proven, powerful, and personalized pre-listing package.
But let me edit it. And you're also going to need a pre-buyer package too.
That's right. Listing presentation and the buyer presentation with a pre-buyer packet, which again is under engineering right now for all of you.
So I'm going to go back to A. The most important thing is scripts, but within the scripts, it's not just proactive lead generation scripts. As Julie said, it's also going to be pre-qualifying scripts. Pre-qualifying scripts are the most important scripts in our entire coaching program because it's going to force you to ask the tough questions. It's going to help you to weed out the folks that are least likely to most likely to transact with you. In times like these, you must be very careful who you're working with. Some of you are shocked that Julie and I didn't mention a CRM. And I'll tell you why we didn't mention a CRM, because CRMs are where leads go to die. And you guys think sprinkling on them and dripping on them and all the rest of it is going to somehow make it so you don't actually have to learn how to do your own lead follow-up and your own pre-qualifying. It's absolutely not true, especially in times like these. So you can have a CRM, but you got to just use it as a holding tank where maybe the leads that you followed up on a bunch of times using our system haven't actually materialized. That's fine, but I'll tell you guys really where the punchline is. The best agents on planet Earth have the fewest number of leads, and those leads are the best quality leads you can possibly imagine. One of the first questions when we take on a new elite coaching client, that's our highest level of coaching, is we ask them to tell us what their specific leads are, hopefully listing leads. And we'll ask them, what's their motivation, what's their time frame, what's their equity situation, all the questions. And what you'll quickly discover is they'll have, this is a new coaching client or prospective one. They'll say, well, I've got all these leads. All right, well, I want you to tell me about the top 10. Send me an email answering these questions about the top 10 leads. And they'll send you the email, but within doing the homework, they're going to realize that maybe 3 or 4 of the top 10 leads that they thought were great, 3 or 4 are the ones that are really worth paying attention to and focusing on. So after that, it'll be, call the other 6 or 7 and re-qualify them, ask them all the questions that are in the script, and see if any of them qualify for your A team, your A number of leads. And if they don't, we need to back burner those and only focus on the ones that actually meet all the minimum standards or really maximum standards for you to consider them a lead. The best agents on planet Earth have the fewest number of leads. The worst agents on planet Earth, the ones that frankly are working the hardest, spending the most money to generate leads, but generating the fewest number of profitable transactions, are the ones with the most number of leads. It's counterintuitive, but if you think about it like I just described, it makes perfect sense.
Very well said. So you must invest your time in the things we just spoke of before you spend your money on anything else. Spending time isn't just creating the presentations. I know that some of you listening have these beautiful presentations you put together, but nobody's ever coached you how to actually use them, thus you don't use them. It's practicing them in real life until you realize the predictable success with each presentation. That's how you know you've got great presentations.
Most agents' presentations are like being handed an IKEA
Yes.
instructions, right? So if you guys have ever seen IKEA instructions to build like a bookshelf, I don't know what the hell. Whoever writes that must hate their customers, is all I have to say.
It's terrible.
There must be a group of people that absolutely positively hate IKEA customers who write the IKEA manuals because they love making these things ridiculously complicated. So when because agents don't they'll give a presentation folder, or they'll give a listing presentation, but they don't know how to explain why the seller should care about or the buyer should care about that particular page. They'll say, well, here it is. And they won't say, well, this is what my communications guarantee is, and this is how it benefits you. They don't want to just read the words. They want to know why it benefits them. The entire presentation that we teach you from the listing side, now working with buyers, is all about what's in it for them. It's not talking about you. Stop talking about you. People don't care about you. They do, but you know what I'm saying. They want to know what you're going to deliver for them. That's the mindset. So if your presentation now is talking about you and your great golden retriever, that's great. But in this new world, there's not really a place for that. Consumers are going to become ultra particular who they work with. And the people that agents or the consumers are going to choose to work with, the agents that they're going to choose to work with, are the ones that take a professional approach and where the consumers feel that they're getting delivered to them the most benefit, the most value. Doesn't that make sense?
Of course it does. So that brings us to point number 4. You cannot be weird about being a salesperson. You can't be weird about talking about real estate, about talking to people. Don't be a secret agent. It's not profitable. This is a contact business, face-to-face, voice-to-voice, video or Zoom if necessary. Now, yes, digital and social communication, of course, but only in support of real-life communication. I can tell you, as I was reading this, because I'm always reading points ahead while you're talking, I was thinking about my elite coaching clients and the ones who are on track or ahead and who are actually doing even better than they did in 21 and 22 are the ones who are the best at this particular point. Face-to-face, voice-to-voice. They're actively making calls. They're in the neighborhoods, talking to people. They have appointments every day. They're not dependent on something digital going out and speculating for them.
Let me give you an example. So Carrie Shaw team is one of the most successful teams in the United States. She's part of our EXP group. $731 million in 2021, and I think 1,400 transactions. It's a big team. She has, I think, 60 or 70 agents on her team. It's basically a brokerage, but it's run as a team. Well, market was slowing down a couple of years ago. So what Julie and I suggested that they do is get in and call all their leads, and she did it. And all of those staff members who are just waiting around for the system to drip out a lead because a person been in the system long enough or whatever, everybody decided to let's make some phone calls. And instantaneously they were able to take, it was a 12 or 1300 size database. They're instantly converting a lot of those to listing leads. The agents that are picking up the phones and having real conversations, again, skills-based approach, not being secret agents, are the ones that are dominating the marketplace, because all the other agents, especially ones that have come in the business in the last 15 years, have been told that they never actually have to have meaningful conversations. They can just drip on people, social media people, influence people. They can do all this passive stuff. Well, guess what? What's happening now are the agents that are doing the business are the ones that have that stuff going in the background, but they're actually on the phone or in person having real life conversations.
Yes, I'll give you an example. Tammy Irby in Virginia. She's doing this great free market analysis program right now. She has an offer in a nice bag that she's putting out in neighborhoods that she's going after. She's using it with her past clients, her centers of influence, and expireds that she's going after. The listing appointments that she's going on now are the result of her speaking directly with people who want a market analysis for their homes. Of course, they're, in some cases, surprised, shocked, impressed. I can't believe my house is worth that. Now, what am I going to do with all that equity? Maybe they're going to keep the house and move. Maybe they're going to sell the house. Maybe they're going to relocate. The point is, she's having real world conversations and getting results.
So you and I, we don't sell real estate. We haven't sold real estate in a long time. But if we were to get back in the market selling real estate, this is the market I'd want to enter into.
I agree. People have a lot of need. I always remind you how good they have it because everybody has equity, right?
Yeah, well,
and all that.
But also it's because the competitors who you'd be competing, obviously other agents, they have not really developed skill set. They might have market knowledge, but they don't really have skill set.
Too much complacency.
Right. They don't have formalized presentations. They've been spoiled by this buoyant, FOMO-based market. So, entering the marketplace right now, frankly, reminds me of when you and I were selling real estate our first year in the business, where there was a similar sort of, the market, the complacency, the embedded agents in these communities that Julie and I started selling a lot of homes in, they're operating the exact same way. But it doesn't last. That opportunity to be an early mover and really enter the market with a skills-based approach, it lasts maybe 24 months. But in those 24 months, if you really stay drilled down, at the end of the 24 months, you'll be the most dominant market or one of the most dominant agents in your market.
Couldn't agree with you more. Our last point for today, this is a two-part series, is number 5, have and follow a business plan. Failing to plan is planning to fail. So get your real estate treasure map and get started with this. Your treasure map is your personalized life and business plan. You're going to learn the following. What are your personal goals? Why are you even in real estate? What must real estate accomplish for you and your family? You're going to do goals in 5 areas of life. Again, your personal goals. You're going to learn where are you getting your business from, understanding lead generation at a higher level. You're going to know what your magic number is. What is your personal magic number of the number of listings you must have in your personal inventory at all times to meet or exceed your monthly goals. You're going to have a profit-driven, powerful, ideal schedule. You're going to know how to invest your time. If you don't have a business plan, or if you have one and you're not following it, there's no way you're going to make it even to $500,000, much less $1 million.
It's true. And really, the point that Julie and I made at the top of today's show, stop wasting time trying to reinvent the wheel. Just copy. Just follow in the footsteps of people that have gone up the mountain before you. Do not try to be unique. Do not try to worry about too much what your unique brand is. Be the agent that has the listing that gets the listing sold, and then you'll be the agent that other sellers see had sold listings, and you'll be, guess what? Your brand will be the one who's selling the listings and being the top listing agent in your marketplace. Real estate is painfully simple. The painful part is because so many agents try to make it so damn hard. Real estate is one of the best business opportunities, one of the best entrepreneurial, really, small businesses that a human can enter into, especially in the United States, if you allow it to be. If you're entering into the business thinking you have to create your brand, your website, your funnels, all your social media, all your Instagram videos, if you have this big, litany and this big mountain of passive lead generation stuff that you think you must do and have mastered before you're actually able to, maybe chase a seller or make real money in real estate, you're going to fail. The market is not going to wait for you to get your act together and wait for someone to discover your brand. Get to the head of the line with a skills-based approach. Call that for sale by owner. Call that expired. Call that center of influence and past client. Have a conversation. They're not going to stop and say, when you're on the phone with that expired, they're not going to stop and say, hold on, let me check you out on Instagram. Oh, you only have, 5,000 followers. Not good enough. That doesn't happen. That's not real life. No. So listen, guys, thank you for helping us to keep this podcast so popular in at least the United States. It's our pleasure and our honor to be your real estate coaches. Take the next natural step and consider joining Premier Coaching. The link to join below is below in the show description, or you can just go to premiercoaching.com. And listen, as the times change, know that we've been through these market cycles 3 times before in our careers. And always feels like, it's super scary until the pendulum swings back and it's like, oh my gosh, the great times are here again. We are, believe it or not, the pendulum is swinging back, albeit slowly. It's swinging very, very slowly, but we are at the beginning stages, and we have been since probably February of this year, of a long-term real estate boom. Be part of the conversation using the new techniques, the new systems, the new mindset, the new approach that this new market demands. Have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.